What's up, y'all? I'm Sheila J, and welcome to the Diva Dish. Today's video is all about HBO's newest crime limited series, Mare of Easttown. This series has everything: impeccable writing, acting is amazing. We got Kate Winslet, Jean Smart, you got Evan Peters, you got compelling stories. Actually, I watched it twice up to episode 5. Payoffs in this episode. All right, we're gonna get to it, but let's start with a little recap. Episode 4 ended with, of course, Mare got suspended. Detective Zabel is now over the case. The paternity test proved that Frank, you are not the father, and Dylan, you are not the father. Who's the father? I have a theory, but we'll talk about those at the end. Of course, we got another girl that goes missing at the tavern. Missy just tells Mare that Aaron was a part of this little sex ring. She was on the same site that Missy was on. Detective Zabel also learns that Deacon Mark Child has a past. He's been accused of messing with an underage girl. Father Dan pretty much tell him this might be a problem here because, as you know, if you've watched or not watched these episodes, all these people know each other. Like, this is not going to fare well for you. Intense scene. Siobhan struggles with, feelings about her brother and his suicide. She says the last message he sent to her was cut off and that somebody was with him, but she doesn't know who it was. This is going to play into my theories later, so put a pin in that. And the biggest moment of last episode, child Katie Bailey is alive and well in the tavern now with Missy. So now we got the two girls missing. All right, so let's jump into episode 5. So episode 5 starts out with a montage of a car that's run into a telephone pole, right? Detective Shaky, I'll call him, Trammell, the cop that was in the first episode that couldn't stand to see the blood, and Mare was like, really, you chose this as your profession, but you can't stand blood. So anyway, Sergeant Shaky gets there and he opens the door, and of course there's blood, so he's shaking. When he opens the door, a purse falls out, and he opens the ID, and child, it is Betty Carroll. Betty had a heart attack, child, and ran into the damn telephone pole. So this causes a blackout. So next scene, we see Mare's house. Frank comes with Drew or whatever. Everybody's getting candles and things together. Then it cuts to Lori and John's house. And Lori's checking on everybody, going, from room to room. And she sees John, her husband, talking to their son, Ryan, telling him, it's our secret, buddy, okay? It's our secret. So, of course, mama ears go up there. She's like, what are you talking about? So, okay. So then it cuts back to Mare's, and Siobhan is talking to Frank, and she's like, how's Faye? How's the engagement going? And baby, Faye didn't put the brakes all the way on since the whole allegation about him possibly being DJ's daddy. So then, he asked her about, how she's doing. And he said, we never ask you how you're doing. It's always been about Kevin with all his illnesses. And then, of course, he committed suicide. And now you got the grandbaby. You got Drew. And Siobhan, of course, is like auntie mommy to him, So when the lights go out, Drew is like, I can't find my turtle. So Mare goes looking for the turtle. And she's in Siobhan's room. There's a video on. And the video is Siobhan's documentary that she's doing about, of course, her brother Kevin. Mare, she's looking, she's feeling. Then it cuts to her in therapy. Don't expect a big hallelujah moment for me here. I'm going to talk to you. I have to be here. What's the deal? I come a few times. You tell everybody I'm okay and I'm good. So they get to talking. So Mare opens up. She talks about Kevin and all his diagnosis and all the medications he was on. And then she's like, is there a history of this in your family? And she said, yeah, my dad had, depressive issues. And we all know that from previous episodes when Mare's talked about him, she loved her daddy. But come to find out he had depressive episodes and he would go stay with his brother and then come back home. Well, we knew from previous episodes that he died when she was 13. But what we did not know and found out is that he committed suicide when she was 13. Heavy. When I talk about compelling stories. So not only is Mare dealing with the death of her son via suicide, we also find out that her father committed suicide, which is probably why her and her mom are so afraid that the baby Drew, with his tics and things, could develop the same issues. It's heavy. Moving on. So we get back to Mare's, and there's a family gathering. We've got Lori, Mare, Nana, Helen is there, John, and Billy. And, you know, they're talking about Betty's, you know, gossiping child, talking about Betty's little crash. Betty was going to get Cheerios child and had a heart attack. So then Helen gets up, she gets Drew ready for bed or whatever. So it's still Mare, Lori, Billy, and John. They're talking about Erin and how Kenny was in a really bad way when her mom died. And, you know, really sunk into his alcoholism. And Lori goes, well, didn't she stay with you, Billy? Baby Billy got shifty, okay? He was like, yeah, she only stayed there, you know, a couple weeks. Shifty. And Lori was like, no, I'm sure it was a couple months. He had just opened the beer. They got to talking about that, Erin. He putting on coats saying, yep, gotta go. So Mare's like, sir, what was her state like? Can you tell me more? Why haven't you told me this before? So she looks at the beer bottle as if like, you just opened the beer and now we're talking about Erin and you're ready to go. Or she could be looking at it like, since we don't know who GJ's daddy is, even though this is not one of my theories, might as well throw it in the pot. Do I need to scrub this bottle for DNA? We'll see. So while they're at the family get together, the reason everybody's over there is because Lori and John's baby girl is getting ready for this homecoming dance or prom. So Siobhan's upstairs with Anne, her new girlfriend. She's telling Siobhan, you know, you're so talented. Your documentary is, you know, so good. You should be published. I know this lady who's a professor out of Berkeley, California. You should send her your stuff. I'm sure you could probably get a scholarship out there. And, you know, Siobhan is like, California. And she's like, yeah. California. And Siobhan's like, I've already applied to schools here. You know, Mare kind of made that because she got to stay here and take care of her family, which is probably why Frank was like, we need to ask you more about you and about what you want. So hopefully this will develop and Siobhan will go away. Live your life, child. Child, we get to Brianna, Billy Badass, and Dylan, Daddy Dark. Brianna was pleasantly seemed open and compassionate. She was talking about, you know, because Mare gave us some get right, like, little girl, you going to jail for beating up this little girl. And I sat on that. So she's like, yeah, you know I messed up. It's probably going to be a misdemeanor, I don't know, some law stuff. And she was like, you know I'm not going to go to college next year, but I might go to beauty school. So Dylan's like, yeah. And then they get to talking about DJ. And he's like, you know, my parents want to keep the baby. And she was like, even though it's not yours? And he was like, yeah. So she was like, okay. And then she was like, you know, Dylan, if you ever want to talk, you know, I'm here. I see. I got friends. Okay, well, you know, if you ever want to talk to somebody, you know, not your friend. Okay, well, you know, the night this is Brianna, the night Erin died, you weren't in the bed. Where'd you go? I was probably up front, you know, messing with DJ. No, I looked up front. You weren't there. I was probably outside smoking a cigarette. No, I looked out on the front porch. I was probably in the back. Sir, I walked around the entire house. You weren't there. Dylan goes, I think you should leave. Dylan goes, get out. All right. Scary, dark. Moving on. All right, so of course we know, you know, Mare's suspended child, but this is her case. So of course she's doing what she does. And she meets with this working girl that she's a working lady now, older lady, a little bit longer than two. She's showing her, you know, Missy's picture, Erin's picture, and Katie's picture, you know, trying to see if she's seen them. She was like, you know, yeah, I remember Katie. Missy, I've seen her, but she didn't know Erin. So she said, you know, there's this other working girl who had a issue with this guy who like choked her, but she was able to get away. You know, let me see if I can find her so you guys can talk to her. So she's like, cool. This scene is about Lori's kids, the daughter and the son. Okay. So the little girl is in the lunch line getting her lunch. So she's walking to her table and these little asshole kids are like throwing stuff at her, just being real mean to her. She's got Down syndrome, so they're just being mean. Baby, Ryan, her brother, probably weighs 50 pounds wet. But when I tell you that baby picked up that blue tray and beat the shit out of that child, gave him the business, okay? So mom comes and picks him up and she's like, what's going on? You mean, I get it. You were trying to, you know, defend your sister or whatever, but really, you know, you had to bust the boy's head open with a tray to the white meat? He shuts down and she takes him to a park and, you know, he's got his head down crying and she's like, does this have anything to do with your dad's secret? I heard him when he said that. Of course, he denies it at first. She insists and he said, yeah, it does. And she said, is it the same woman? He said, yes. Really, John, Dad? It's not enough that you're cheating on your wife, but you're gonna put your son in it too by telling me your business because you're too sloppy and lazy to cover up your tracks. Anyway, moving on. So the next scene, we are at Betty Carroll's repast at the house. Of course, everybody in the town is their child. Brother Carroll decides to get up and make a proclamation. I wanted to tell everybody this. Well, I wanted to tell Betty this, but she's dead. So I can't carry this around. I had to tell you guys, I've been having an affair with Helen Fahey. Helen, girl, really? Baby, Mare got 7 laughs. Ha, 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 off her mama, okay? Hilarious. Moving on. Mare is going out on a date with Zabel. So she was actually asked out by her writer boo and Zabel same night. Remember, it's got that good, okay? So she chose Zabel because of course she wants to keep her hands in this case, child. So there was serious ulterior motive, but we're gonna see if Zabel cares or not. Okay, so they're in the car and she's like, did you get the APB on this? Did you get this? And he's like, ma'am, I was hoping this could be like a real date. We want to talk about work. She's like, okay. So basically she let him ramble. Moving on. Then we cut to Lori and John's. Fortunately, she gave him the business. He had his laundry basket and suitcases at the door. Bye. Moving on. Then we get to Jeff, who we thought was Aaron's best friend, coming outside to meet Dylan, Daddy Dark, and his little friend Sean. So now they get fresh crew. They go over to Aaron's. And on the car ride, we learn that basically Dylan's been pulling the strings, telling her when to speak, what to say, when to drink, when to smoke. They get to Aaron's house and find her journals. She's got a lot of them. And Jess is reading through one of them. And Dylan, dark ass, was like, why are you reading? We said we weren't going to read them. What is in these journals? Then, is looking through her stuff, finds an envelope that says DJ's ear surgery money. I don't know how much was in there, but it looked like a little grip. That she put that pink wig on and probably did something strange for a little change, child. It's a damn shame that dark ass dude got that damn money. They go to one of their houses, I can't remember who it was, and throw all the journals on the fire. But before Jess threw the last one in, it looks like she took either a picture out or a letter out. So hopefully she will grow some conscience and help Aaron from the grave, child. Anyway, so Mare and Zabel are at the restaurant now, right? You know, he's going on and on and on. And he's talking about, of course, we've heard from previous episodes that, you know, he was engaged. Then one morning the girl just woke up and was like, I don't love you anymore. Heartbreaking. And you can just kind of see the wanting on him. You know what I'm saying? like, clearly he's a mama's boy. You know, he's got that whole older woman loving, that's why he loves Mare. Basically, he was like, you know, my mom told me that the only reason you're going out with me is because you want to stay close to this case. And he says, this is the point where you say, your mom was wrong. So Mare is leaving this dinner, right? And she's driving home and she sees the man in the coat in the alley, child. So of course she gets out, running, chase the man down, girl. The man is a 70-year-old senile man that wanders away from his house, child. She ran in the man's house, child, knocked him down to the ground. And we cut to Deacon Mark. Deacon Mark is at the Chinese place, child, getting them something to eat. And there are these kids sitting in the restaurant. And one of them's like, yeah, my mom told me that guy was accused of messing with little girls, 14-year-old little girl. So, of course, he getting along with y'all, getting his stuff so he can get on down. Baby, they followed him out of the restaurant, heckled and harassed him, and beat him up. It's kind of sad. We cut to the aftermath of Mare knocking down the little senile man, child. Chief Carter there trying to work everything out and basically tell Mare, what is wrong with you? Take your ass home, Mare, okay? It's not your case. Let it go. Moving on. Then, so Deacon Mark gets back to the parsonage or wherever they're living. And Father Dan is like, what the hell happened to you? You tore the hell up. What? And he's like, no, leave me alone. He was in his feelings, of course, shame. He was like, it's so awful because I got the feeling that he felt like he was in between a rock and a hard place. I don't know if he messed with the 14-year-old girl. Clearly it was alleged. I don't think he was prosecuted or anything like that. They're just rumors. But, because of that, any type of anything that goes on, of course people gonna look to him. So, he didn't want to tell the police because then he confesses to Father Dan that he was with Erin the night she died. Father Dan was like, I'm sorry, what? You were with her? He was like, yeah. I picked her up from the park. I put her bike in my trunk, which we know because he threw it in the lake. I was going to take her home, but she got a text. And then she got hysterical, wanted me to take her to Brandywine Park. So they go to the park, and he said that's where he dropped her off. Father Dan was like, why didn't you say anything? Why'd you dump her bike in the lake? And he was like, well, because I've got this, rumor going on about me messing with this 14-year-old girl. I thought for sure I'd be implicated. You can see both sides, but still, as a priest or a clergyman, you would think that his concern over her welfare would trump that. Wanting to find out what happened to this little girl, since you cared so much about her. Looking kind of suspect, Father. I'm sorry, Deacon Mark. We'll see. The next scene, the final two scenes of the episode. Major spoilers here. Serious events here. The scene opens with, it's the next morning, and after the horrible date, and Zabel is, of course, he lives with his mom. They're having coffee. And Mom is like, why do you keep entertaining this lady who clearly is using you to stay close to this case? And his reply was basically, scared money don't make no money. Like, how am I ever going to get the love of my life or a relationship that I want if I don't go for it? So his mom was like, all right, child. And he gets in the car with Mare. So they are on their way to meet with this former prostitute and the girl that she was talking about that had been attacked. So they meet with this girl and she's like, yeah, he was in a blue work van. He picked me up. I was getting ready to get in the back seat. And that's when he started to choke me. I did, a move on him and it got him off me, while he was reeling from whatever I did. I got out the car, ran away and got a partial license plate number. So great. So, Zabel calls in the number and he and Mare walk outside to, talk until they get some hits, hopefully, on the partial license plate. So they're talking at the pier and they have a real heart-to-heart. Mare tells him that, the reason she was suspended was because she planted drugs on the baby mama Carrie. Really, Mare? And he says, well, I didn't really solve that case. What happened was the family had hired a private detective and he passed away. I got a call saying that I could come, get the files. He found a file with the name of the girl who's, the case was about. And the guy had put it together. He followed up on a lead that he did not. And, I turned it in as, my finding and boom. So, he was feeling good and he kissed her. It's cute. Chemistry was believable. Yeah, it was nice. The second time I saw Mare smile. Okay, so he gets the call back. There are 8 matches on this license plate number. So they get to the first house. This is Lady's house. And she's like, her nephew or somebody uses it, right? So they go to the next house. The man opens the door and look just like that damn weasel. Okay? They pan out and it's the tavern time. So as the audience knows, they're there. Goosebumps. Okay. So they go in and the guy's playing the music really loud. And they're like, sir, could you turn the music down? We can't, hear. So he's like, sure. So he goes to turn the music down. They walk in like to a living room looking thing. Really shanty. Really didn't look like anybody lives there. Zabel spots Winston cigarettes. Okay, this is not a test. So Mare reaches for her gun and she realizes she doesn't have it. So Zabel catches it and, unholsters his. Then they cut to the dude in the bar turning down the music. He gets his gun. Okay. So he comes back in and it cuts to Katie and Missy. And they were playing cards, child. Katie dropped them damn cards like, bitch, this is not a test. These people are here. He has not tied us up. He was not expecting them. It's time to make some noise. So maybe to start beating on them pipes, shaking them, moving them. Of course, the pipes downstairs, the ones they're holding on to, it's visible. We can all see they're moving. So Mare's like, sir, do you live here by yourself? He's like, yeah. Yeah. Really? Mare hesitates. Sable reaches for his gun, pulls it out. The weasel shoots him in the head. Boom. Mare runs because she's unarmed. He clips her, gets her in the wrist. She's running all through the house. There are cameras everywhere. He has his phone. He can see where everything is. Fortunately, she does a 1-2 on him. She comes up from behind, hits him in the head. He running like he on something else, child. Runs downstairs. She gets Sable's gun. No, first she texts 911 as she's going through the house, the address. She hits him over the head. He gets up. She runs downstairs and gets Zabel's gun and kills the man. You then hear sirens. The police are coming. They've found the girls. Zabel is dead. And yeah. Crump. Okay? Got 2 more episodes left. I have a few edges left for them to snatch. Let's jump to theories. So I have, okay, so I'm gonna throw out the furthest one first. So the furthest one out there is that, what if John, Mr. Lay It Low and Spread It Wide, Lori's cheating ass husband, was messing with Aaron, and they crunk ass hitting people in the head with Trey's son, killed her trying to keep the family together. He's got a violent streak, I'm just saying. Second theory, who is DJ's daddy? Aaron's baby. I think it might be Kevin, Cheyenne, Frank, and Mare's son that killed himself. 2 reasons. The first, because Siobhan said the last message she got from her brother was cut off. She couldn't hear the end. He was definitely with somebody, but she didn't know who. And that he and Carrie had fallen out. Then, when Lori was telling Mare about what Jess was saying about Frank being the baby daddy, she was like, the reason she thought it is because he dropped Aaron off one time and was giving her formula, diapers, and wipes. He's not the father. But my question is, why would he keep that from Mare? Maybe because Aaron was underage? I don't know. But either way, the show is everything. Please watch it. Binge it. You will not regret it. 2 more episodes left. Mare of Easttown. Oh. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching the video. Be happy, be well, be blessed. See y'all later. Bye.